Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike and Jingraves.
Hey everyone, what's up? Jin here with another episode of the Otakuology podcast. You know, we like to talk about a lot of nerdy stuff and whatnot, but we're going to take a moment away from that this episode. Because we are.
Okay.
Because this episode is all about meeting you and you meeting me. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, you know,
right.
Some of our people probably saw pictures and stuff last week of us hanging out together.
Or a few weeks, depending on when this was released.
Yeah.
Depending.
Whatever week. It could have been yesterday that we recorded this.
Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe we recorded this before we even met each other. Who knows?
Oh, that would have been so weird.
What if people are like, what?
How did you predict the future?
How did y'all know that? We already had a schedule. We knew
you had time traveler. Time traveler right now.
Yes, time travel. It is real. But yeah, we were gonna take a second and actually talk about like meeting your co-host for the first time. Or other individuals and different things like that. But mostly your co-host, because that's who you actually meet and don't get to know ahead of time, you know?
I know. I mean, yeah, right. But I kind of want to like preference this because I know we kind of talked about our history of like, doing mangatube and stuff like that, but we never like officially like said like how we like met online. Do you remember how we met online?
Yeah, we were kind of in the same block of doing anime or manga content together on YouTube.
Because I don't remember.
Really?
To be honest. I mean, it kind of gets like jumbled together. Like, I think I like remember you doing like a giveaway of some sort.
That was after. That was after.
Was it after?
Yeah. No. So the one person, shout out, because he needs to come on the show, even though he has no way of coming on the show. And who will listen to this on YouTube later on at some point. But Justin from Justy Cave,
who is a manga tuber.
Yeah, and at the time he went by a different name, but actually brought you up in conversation and said, "Hey, do you know about this Otaku Mike guy?" I found him and he's starting to put out content and whatnot that's manga related. And so that's kind of how I first started knowing who you were. And it just kind of went from there, slowly, like we were just in the same places that had conversations together and doing another podcast or a streaming thing together and stuff like that. So it just kind of escalated from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it because I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed doing mangatube? Is that why?
It was the beard.
I don't know if I had a beard at the time. I think I might have had it shaved.
You had a little tiny beard.
I might have had like stubble or something. I don't remember.
I feel like you've had a beard almost the entire time I've known you.
You can chart my beard growth through my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't really remember. Because I wasn't like really associating with a lot of people at the beginning. I was kind of doing my own thing a little bit, and I was like, I'll just do my own thing, And I don't know how I got fucking wrapped up in mangatube.
The weird thing is that so the 3 years that I did stuff, I can almost regurgitate the timeline. I feel like pretty close. And so it's really weird knowing when I started and when I got out, and like people that I knew. And it's really funny because I have to kind of know that specifically with you. And I'm like, okay, well,
Uh-huh.
I did MangaTube almost a full year before you and I became friends.
Because I did it late. I want to say late 2019. It was like in October, I think. Maybe.
Uh, yeah.
Maybe it was 2000, late 2018. I can't remember exactly
Uh, well, I know you
when.
did stuff, but I think you officially got into MangaTube like early January.
Which is weird to say you officially got into MangaTube when is MangaTube really a thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very true.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Is life even a thing?
Is life a thing? I mean, I'm not trying to shit on any quote manga tuber. I mean, I just considered myself a dude talking about
you were
backwards
you were
comics.
singing the Good Burger song. I'm a dude. He's
I'm
a
a
dude.
dude.
She's a dude.
She's a dude.
Because we're all
We're all
dudes.
dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I had like that much interaction with you in particular. Um.
No, I think we just kind of ran in the same circles for a while.
Yeah, I think that's how it was. And then I found out you were a dad and I was a dad. So we kind of sort of bonded over that a little bit. And I think our first like real interaction was when you were on the manga club,
Yeah.
doing that stream slash
Is that even around
pod.
anymore?
I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure.
I think a
I'm not
lot of things. I
100%
think a lot of
sure.
things die off real fast.
I think there might be a channel for it, but I don't know if it's been uploaded in quite a while. I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
I know all your episodes are taken down on it.
Yeah.
So I'm not on the manga club
Right.
anymore because my episodes coincided with your episodes. And I
Right.
think I was like on it like twice, maybe. I can't remember.
Uh,
But I remember.
I think you were on it
I
3
think
times.
was it? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I remember we kind of bonded over that and like, or bonded over just life, I guess you could say. We became fast friends, you know.
Right.
I would say we became fast friends.
That's true.
And um, everybody like I guess would joke around like, "Oh, when are you guys gonna meet? You know, when are you guys gonna meet?" Because like a lot of people were like meeting at that time or trying to meet in quote the real world, I guess you could say. You know,
Right. But they were meeting people that were like down the street from them. That was the worst part.
they didn't travel 10 hours.
Right. Exactly. See, that's the real thing right there.
I think my travel time was like 16 hours, honestly.
Oh my gosh.
If you want to put it all together, I think it was like 16 hours.
Well, and besides you, the only other person I've ever met is Bizarre Individual. You know.
That's true.
So, but
Yeah, it's kind of odd, you know, like oh, wanting to meet people you're like you've grown to know
yeah,
on the internet and like cuz I always felt like part of MangaTube, especially for me, was very like solitary
yeah,
and like a lot of it was like me by myself and like occasionally I would talk to people, you know we would have like groups that would pop up, we would get thrown into them and it would go crazy and all these people would join and whatnot, but it was very like an isolating thing, I felt like
very
uh,
true.
uh when creating content and stuff like that, because like who am I actually really truly talking to, and
Right.
a lot of people will eventually leave or die out or stop doing it or move on to something else, which is perfectly fine,
That's
perfectly
true.
fine.
That's
And
true. I mean, and some of the people that still like do it from like when I did it, it just seems so weird, and
yeah,
I, I don't think I've ever seen anybody that has just solid, since I start to finish and everything. I don't think I've ever seen anybody stick around the whole time. They've like taken a full year off and then come back or something like that,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, which is fine.
or they do
You
one
know,
video a year.
you got to have that mental health regiment and not like wear yourself out when trying to create or come up with videos.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Nobody gave me that message early.
I don't think any of us got that message, to be
The
honest.
way the way I started, which is, you're gonna find this funny. The way I actually started MangaTube is basically the same way I do the podcast now. Like
Yeah,
pre-recording all the shows, having like so many up to date, and they were, I think, because I went from having like 20 videos to like 300. It seemed like almost overnight, but it was a couple weeks, and I would in a month put out like 50 videos.
yeah,
So, you know,
yeah. That's crazy. I want to see how many I have. I want to just check this.
but I know a lot of mine got deleted for different crazy reasons.
Yeah, a lot of mine ended up getting delisted and stuff. I have over 286 videos. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, I think last I counted, I would have had 500 maybe. And I know that before I deleted like 300 and something. So I would have been like
I
at
mean, I'm gonna be honest.
800.
A lot of my videos, if they're not about manga
Yeah,
or a haul video, don't stand the test of time. Just gonna be honest about that.
that's true.
you know, uh, the manga reviews or impressions get the clicks on my channel.
Yeah.
I,
Right?
I think I'm lucky if I break like 300 views on a haul video nowadays,
Yeah.
which is crazy to say. You know,
Right. Well,
um,
and I enjoy uh kind of getting away from all that stuff. I just really enjoy
yeah.
doing what we're doing now and not having to worry about part of that stuff.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't even worry anymore. I just put a video out when I feel like it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't stick to a schedule anymore.
Yeah.
I just put a video out when I feel like it. Because I mean, I feel like there were a lot of like unwritten rules in MangaTube or slash YouTube.
Yeah.
You had to you had to put out like a haul video at the end of the month. Not in the middle, not in the beginning, whatever. It had to be at the end. And you had to do this and this and this. You had to be successful.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, if you weren't up to these standards, some people wouldn't talk to you. you know,
That's so true.
it was a weird like hierarchy type of thing, which I honestly have to say I feel like it's calmed down quite a bit, and it's more like a healthy competition.
That's true.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like people are like uplifting each other, like kind of like in the old days or
That's
when I
true.
started,
Yeah.
I guess you could say. And helping people out and stuff like that, and
Oh, for
giving people
sure.
ideas,
For sure. And
they're
I think that's kind of the thing too, building off of that, you do have to go with other people's ideas and kind of grow from there. And just like you're talking to a friend, I've always stood behind
yeah,
that. And I think that's kind of a thing, is some of those other ideas that people had is really what killed a lot of those channels off, is because if you're not flexible about stuff, then it happens. And
yeah,
whenever you have problems and you start kind of like nitpicking, taking people out of the community, and you push people
hmm
away, then you just kind of make it where this niche activity that we're all doing is bullying in high school all over again, you know.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Excuse me. Sorry.
But, you know, meeting up.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, yeah. You know, I mean.
So I have a question
like,
for you.
Well, I have a question for you.
Oh, okay. 1, 2. We'll shout them at the same time. 1, 2.
No, we're not going to do
that. Okay.
We're done with our weird mangatube reminiscing tangent.
Right. All right. What's your question?
All right. So I'll tell you about, like, I don't know, like when we first like met, like in the IRL or in the real life, as the kids like to say.
Yeah.
What was it like for you in that like split second?
Oh man, I was like, I'm about to meet this person that I've talked to like most of my life. Which, I mean, you know, isn't true, but that's what it feels like, you know. You know, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm about to meet this person that I've talked to for like ever. Like I talk to all the time. You know, my best friend, and I've never seen him. And I'm like, you know, what's gonna happen? It's kind of like, you know, if like you buy a puppy and you're waiting, and you know it's coming, and you don't get to meet him yet. Like you have to wait. Like
it's like you know, like getting a gun. You have to wait.
I guess. Maybe.
There's, I don't know. I was going with that. In Texas, you have to wait.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I did not know that. The more you know. But, you know, or like, here's one that both you and I can relate to. Ordering a model.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get it, you buy it, you know that it's coming in, and you could look up everything in the world about it.
Yeah.
You could see pictures of it, you could see other people build it or whatever, but until you actually have that in your hands, you have it where it's in front of you and you can see the box, you know, all of that, it's totally different.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's almost like playing a simulation or whatever. You're like, oh, you know, I've met this person, but I haven't met this person. You know, I've known this person forever, but have I truly met them? Because I haven't, you know, we hadn't shook hands, we haven't hugged, we hadn't done anything else.
I mean, like, over the past, 3 or 4 years, like we've got each other through, like, some pretty hard ups and downs, hard times, fun times, you know.
That's true.
You know, and, like, we've shared some pretty intimate details with each other. For not actually meeting.
Oh my gosh. That's true.
You know.
That's true. I bet there's still that stain on your wife's pillowcase. Stay tuned. Just tune into our OnlyFans. Well, you can know more about this story. Jesus.
But like when I like pulled up and got to your house and you came out the door, like, what was the first thing that came to your mind? Like, what were you thinking?
Before you got out of the car or when you got out of the car?
Either or.
Okay. So before you got out of the car, I was like, oh my God, which side he's going to get out on? Where is he going to be at? You know, and I had that feeling of like, you know, in the Boss Baby movie or the Storks movie where they're like, I want a little brother so bad, you know? That's what I was like, my parents are bringing my little brother home today. And, you know, and then after you got out of the car, I was like, oh my God, there he is. And I was so excited about it, you know, and of course, you know, then the other things rush in, like the questions that you and I have asked. because like one of the things that I've always had a problem with, which I told you before you got here, that when you see each other like on the phone or online or whatever,
yeah,
like to me, I think we're all about the same height, which I'm over 6 foot, so I figure like everybody's 6 foot, something like that. So I was like, oh my gosh, Mike is short.
I'm not that short.
But it's stuff that like we knew, like, because we'd already talked about, me being like freakishly tall and shit like that,
I mean, you weren't as tall as I thought you were going to be.
Oh, thank God. It's because
to be honest,
I wasn't wearing shoes,
I mean, to be honest, like, I was like kind of nervous.
Yeah.
Like, because I've never like met anybody on like through like the internet or whatever,
Yeah.
or like travel to meet them or whatever, Excuse me, hold on.
Yeah. Well, and you've kind of gotten the experience, just kind of like still staying on this topic, but kind of backing over a different alley. Where you actually had a fan like see you in person or whatever,
that was weird. That was weird.
And that's the thing. Like you think it's weird, but it's only like, okay, well, it's only going to be a minute. It's not going to be like this person that I'm going to stay the weekend with.
True.
So
I mean, to be honest, like after like the excitement went away, and like after we did our slow motion running and hugging,
oh yeah, the flowers were flying.
The flowers were flying and stuff like that. Honestly, like for the first like couple of hours,
yeah,
it felt like a very much like an out of body experience. Like I was not in my body at the time. Like it was, I don't know. I just couldn't like comprehend it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
Well, and I have that all the time. Like, mine's not more so like that, but mine is like when people leave. So like when my ex would stay over, when she would leave in the morning, I would have to walk around the house and see if she moved something or whatever. Because if not, then I would be like, well, she wasn't really here. I woke up and saw you off and everything, but it made me think about it for my little boy, how he got up and I was awake. I had woken back up to catch him, kind of like doing the whole Santa Claus thing. He was on the floor and he like crept up real slowly on his elbows and his knees to peek around the corner, and then realized y'all weren't there, and he ran in there and started looking everywhere, like y'all are under the couch or stuff like that, and that's something that I see in myself, that I see in him, is that I do sometimes have things like that. And, it made me think about that though. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it was like weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just weird. And then like I felt like we kind of slipped into our routine.
Yeah.
Like, like it just became like second nature type situation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
that's how I felt.
And it really felt still kind of foreign because, I had to drive your car.
Oh yeah.
And
it was not my car.
Well, your van. It made me like feel kind of weird, I guess. And if you and I hadn't had that time, like Saturday night, where we drove around trying to find an open place for tattoos in my Cadillac, and go into the bookstore and stopping by and getting Snickers or whatever, like it probably would have felt like more dreamy to me.
Yeah.
But we did that, so it kind of solidified everything. It's I guess it's kind of like the one thing that you and I talked about, of getting like big name people. Like if we ever had Ryan Reynolds on the show or somebody else like that we watch on YouTube that's like somebody that we haven't talked to,
Mm-hmm.
and that we see as like being almost like a holy grail kind of person to talk to and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's kind of what it would have been like if you and I didn't have that time together.
Yeah.
You know,
You
it,
think so?
yeah, because it was kind of like the whole thing, like you said, you know, oh well, sometimes if you meet your hero or whatever, they might, um,
Oh yeah, I might. Yeah,
you know, they might let
fizzle
you
out.
down or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But for me, like if I ever met like Ryan Reynolds or somebody like that, you know, the time that we spent and everything doesn't ever seem like it would account for very much. Um, because you're not really seeing like the full human side, you know.
Yeah.
So it made me think about that too after we kind of had that talk and after I saw you, because we kind of went back and talked about it again after you left. Um, really of how like seeing the humanness made made it more of a solidified thing for me to know that you were here, kind of sort of, I guess.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah.
So
True. Yeah.
instead of it just being like, because I mean, like I can tell you what we did uh Friday and Saturday, like
Uh-huh.
morning and stuff, but after that, like I'm at a loss. Like I could kind of tell you that. I can't really tell you exactly all the details, things that happened, whatever. I can't tell you all that, but you know, because all that just kind of
It's
seems like it went by really fast.
it's classified.
We can't tell people about my side job,
What's your side job?
being a tour guide.
Oh, being a tour guide and giving useless information.
How is that? Because I know that you and your wife brought it up like many times.
Good. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, so when we first jumped in the car, because I think like after we unloaded the car
Yeah,
with all the stuff, we jumped back in it. You know, we kind of stopped for a couple minutes, but then like but we jumped back in it because we went to the hobby town and then we went to the burrito place
yeah,
to get something to eat because it was late.
yes,
It was around like I think it was around like 5 o'clock or whatever.
yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like when you first started doing it, like it was a little awkward.
Caught you off guard. You were like, "What the fuck?"
It caught me off guard because you're just telling me all this like useless information, like, oh, so and so lives down here, so and so's mom lives down here. I used to live over here. So and so lives here. If you go up this street, turn left, turn right, make a U-turn. You know, uh, they live over here.
Yeah,
But then I would get like little like sprinkles of like town history mixed in with, oh, so and so lives here.
yeah,
Or I worked here. Stuff
yeah,
like that. Uh, I like at first it was like a little weird. It was a little like um I was caught off guard a little bit. I was like, okay, I don't know how to react to this,
yeah.
so I just go, oh, okay,
Well,
yeah, oh,
I started realizing that I do that with like new people that come into my lives, like exes and stuff. If we ever drive around, I do that. And I never really thought about it before. And so I was kind of sitting there thinking about it after y'all had left, and I was like, you know, I said I do that,
uh
but
huh,
I was like, you know, I I can't remember like why I do that, you know, because I was sitting
yeah,
there thinking about it, like, huh, you know. But then it makes me think like I'm regurgitating, like you said, I'm regurgitating like history of things that happen, you
uh
know.
huh,
And so it's like what I have pre-recorded in my memory banks or something like that, I guess.
and they would just started making fun of you for it.
Yeah, whatever, fuck it.
you know, yeah,
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's just letting people know like doing that, letting people know and kind of getting a hang of it. Which it also made me think about, like, when we record stuff for the show, when I start throwing out like random facts of history for stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if that is like a part of that, you know.
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
But you can't really tell in the show because it's not as driving around town. It's like a focused show. We're focusing on this subject. It's not
Yeah.
like, open mic night and we're going to talk about whatever.
True.
Because, some of our rewind episodes, I do feel like we go all over the place with those. So
I mean,
it kind of made me think about it that way, though,
But I mean, those don't really have a structure.
Yeah.
They just we talk about life.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to see the old mill.
I got to see old mill. Go see old mill.
I feel like we should have took some models or something and like posed them up.
Probably, yeah. We should have. We probably should have did that, yeah.
Right, something.
Yeah.
Took an action figure. Who knows, something.
I mean, I remember we got like settled in or whatever. Like, okay, come on. I know you're gonna want to see this. And so Jen took me into his I don't know, would you call it infamous, notorious manga library, or his manga collection room?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
Over 6,000 volumes. 6,000 volumes of manga, just saying. He takes me in, he's like, look. And what did I say to you?
You're like, this doesn't look like very much.
I said, I've seen bigger.
Right. Well, and then it was really weird, like, taking you around, because, part of it's at my mom's house, stuff like that, and you were like, oh, look, there's a stack of boxes taller than me. Okay. Oh, look, there's 2 more sets of stacks.
Oh, look, there's more boxes over here.
Yeah. I mean, they're just...
I mean, I guess I should have did a video in the room or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? I didn't really want to create content at that moment.
Right. I just thought it was funny, you almost being like a little kid, because I have a little box sitting on my desk of like some Gundams that I had that were on my shelves before. And they're just sitting there, and you were like a little kid going through it. You're like, oh my god, look at this guy right here. Yeah, like the little girl from Despicable Me. He's so fluffy. You're like, look, this guy's fully articulated. Oh my god. Do you have this guy in every color that they came out with? Holy shit.
Just saying, you don't display your models. They're in a box. If it was Toy Story, they would be so depressed right now.
If it was Toy Story, then we would have already talked, okay?
Okay.
They would have already been like, hey, buddy. I would have been like, hey, are we having a war today? I don't need to watch that TV show.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. I don't know who was more like surprised. I mean, I feel like people on Instagram were very surprised that we actually met.
That's true.
In real life.
That's true. And it seems like a couple other like sets of people like met too. And I don't think it was like as momentous though, because it was just like, oh, well, this person lives an hour away from me. Oh, we just met up, for one bookstore, picture or something like that, which, and that's another thing. Like I was thinking about like seeing some of that stuff as well. I was like, you don't like fully like know that stuff, because I was sitting there thinking about it too. I was like, we had to deal with each other's night routines, What do you do to get to wind down? What do you do for this? Oh my gosh, um,
I just go to sleep.
right, right, and then I'm down the hallway in my room or whatever, and I sleep with the TV on. So it's like, you know, just all the
There
different things.
there were times where I would wake up and I would hear like We Bare Bears going on or something.
Yeah.
I would hear the song. The song would wake me up.
That's funny.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was because I don't. I mean, we kind of mentioned it on the podcast, but uh, it was like a month or two ago when we mentioned it on the podcast. I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's why maybe people were taken by surprise.
Probably.
It was funny. It was kind of funny to see.
Yeah. Well, and then I kept having people message me like, "Oh, that's so cool. What's going on? Da da da." And I would message them back and be like, "Hey, you might be the next person. One of us comes to see. Okay."
Yeah,
You know.
like it's just vacation.
Right.
Just a vacation. We didn't really like totally have things planned out all the time. Like it's
Yeah.
just spend time together. I guess you could say. I don't know.
Right.
Uh,
Right. And I mean,
which
you
was
never know. We were talking about it before the show. Um, because I've never like really left and went anywhere unless it was like a
uh-huh.
family trip or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that you and I kind of talked about before we started the show, is maybe taking like one of the weekends that we record and me maybe taking a trip or whatever and covering just some areas, getting to see a little bit of things that are around me that I haven't seen before or whatever. And of
Uh-huh.
course, coming down there to see you and different things like that. And, there's just like a lot of stuff that when you think about it that way as well, like you're covering a lot and it's just kind of like a memory, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I can totally see that. That. Excuse me.
So,
Ugh.
but and then you have other stuff, like you and I have been playing Borderlands, which you got Borderlands for me, so I'm playing the shit out of that.
Yeah, I found it at Five Below,
Yeah, for $5.
which I feel like your friend was very shocked that I found it for $5 brand new.
I think everybody was shocked that you found it for
Good.
$5.
I mean, like he was like, "What?" You can, I felt it seemed like he was gonna go out like that night and go try to find a Five Below
Yeah.
at that time because he was like, I want a $5 game."
Goodness.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I want a $5 game that's worth $60. What the hell?
Yeah. I don't
So,
even know if it is worth $60, but okay.
well, it is on
Yeah.
PSN, so yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I mean, I don't know, but like we've been playing that and I know that you got some models and stuff and whatnot and took those back with you and um
I did.
I built both of the models that I bought around when you were here. I bought them that day, that y'all left. I got both of those built, like so it's kind of like I have stuff that is already like reinforced with stuff that I know that you like, but it's also kind of like, okay, well, I got it the day that you left, so it kind of is like when I look at that, I know, hey, this is the weekend that we hung out.
Yeah. Uh, let me ask you, what was your favorite part of the weekend?
What was my favorite part of the weekend?
Yes.
Um, probably, probably that last little bit where you and I got to like really talk about stuff when we got to go out trying to find the open tattoo shops, and you and I really just got to really talk. And it was stuff that we've already talked about before, or whatever, but it was different to talk about it in person, you know. So
yeah,
yeah,
that was honestly my favorite part too.
Yeah,
because it was just us. It wasn't us and everybody else.
Right. Well, and I mean,
To be honest,
I know we had part of the things where it was like, okay, you guys run into the store and we'll sit in the car or whatever, stuff like that.
yeah,
But you know,
yeah,
it's kind of like, you know, and of course there was we had to make sure that everything was pretty well kid friendly.
true.
You know,
We did.
so
yeah,
because I was just like, oh my gosh, the kids are gonna sit here and be like, oh, oh, you know, they're getting out of the car again. We're gonna have to stay.
yeah. Oh God! All right, you know.
Yeah.
Like, here's the kids. Here's the bigger kids.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys go get your stuff done.
I mean, like, honestly, like that was like one of my favorite parts was just us.
Yeah.
You know, having to go to the tattoo shop and be turned away because we don't have masks. And then going
my God.
Going to the dollar store to get masks, and we buy a mask, buy a box of masks that's already been opened. Or
Right.
like I don't know if it was pre-used or somebody stole masks out of it. And to go back to the tattoo shop only to be turned away again.
Right. This time not for having a mask, but because there's no open spots when they closed 4 hours from that point. So
yeah, really. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, we should have had started our day off at like 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. Because everything in your town closes at like 7 or 8.
That's true.
Which is weird.
That's true. Well, and then the other thing is, like, we made plans, and it's funny because I feel like the plans that we made, because one of the other things was, hey, should we buy food, you know? And
yeah.
And, you know, if it had been a week, I feel like we would have had more of that time. We would have had more, quote unquote, family time to, like, do all that stuff. But, I mean, there was as much stuff as, like, we all wanted to do. It just never seemed like there was, like, enough time. So even if we wanted to, like, try and do a home-cooked meal or anything like that, we would have never gotten the chance to.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know.
I mean, like after we had like that get together at the pizza place with like your mom and your friends, and whatnot, or should I say brothers
The
or whatever?
bros, yeah.
The bros,
yeah.
The bros. One of them had his jacket inside out. I don't know. That bugged the shit out of me. That his jacket was inside out. And he just sat there with his jacket inside out, and I was like, "Why doesn't he just take it off and flip it inside out?"
You want to know what bugged me?
What?
You know, that was the night before, and then the next night was, or the next morning was like when y'all left, or something like that. He was still wearing the same jacket, and he was still inside out. And I'm like, haven't you been wearing that for like 2 days?
You had your one brother wearing the inside out jacket, and the other one, I feel like he was just eyeballing pizza. Like he wanted some of the pizza.
Yeah.
He kind of showed up late. Like he wanted the pizza, but he didn't like go for the pizza. Like he was just like waiting.
Well, and he wasn't originally going to be there. That was the weird part about it. I was like, what the hell?
Right. And then you were like, oh yeah, let's have a game night. And I'm like, what the fuck? We're gonna have a fucking game night? It's like fucking like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It's like 9 o'clock at night when we got finished, you know? I'm like, oh, we're gonna have it at Jen's house? What? Where the fuck are we gonna have it at Jen's house? And you're like, oh, we're gonna have it at the card table.
Right.
I'm like, we're not gonna all fucking fit 4 grown ass people fit around this fucking little purple kid's card table.
Sure, we will.
I was like, I was kind of dreading that, to be honest. I was like, are we really doing this? Like are we doing this?
Right.
And I was like, okay. Then I convinced you to use your kitchen table. I was like, let's use the
Did we
kitchen
use
table,
the kitchen table? Yeah, we did.
what? Yeah,
Or
that round, the
my
round
dining
table.
room table.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was thinking of I have a white table in my hallway that's a long white foldy table.
Oh, see, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I only thought about that because somebody was asking me about it today, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Gotcha.
But and then we played that game that was pretty funny.
The Oregon Trail?
No, the other game.
Telestrations?
Yes, Illustrations.
Oh yeah. You were like, I don't want to play this stupid game.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did. You were like, it's a stupid
I've
game.
never heard of it. And then when you started explaining it better, I was like, "Oh, this sounds like a game we could try."
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
Did Otaku Mike make a lasting impact on Jingraves' family?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea on that because they almost everybody asked me like if you got home safe, but other than that, nobody asked me anything else.
Damn it.
So
okay.
So I don't know.
I guess I wasn't that memorable.
I mean, maybe you were because at least they cared enough to ask or to make sure you made it home.
Who knows?
But other than that, I have no idea.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't know that much on that part.
Okay. Your brother wants to weasel his way into our podcast, just saying.
Hey, I just made the suggestion that you and him should do a show together because it would be hilarious.
Maybe, who knows? We'll see.
And if I pull a what is it? An Earth Cadet, move, then there's got to be content pre-recorded for me to do that,
Or we could just not record,
Oh no, we're always going to put a
show out. With that.
We're always going to put a show out.
So was it worth the wait?
Oh yeah, totally,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can put it in context of worth the wait. Maybe more like it was long overdue. Because I feel like this probably could have been like the 5th time we've met in person, not the first.
True.
Probably. But it also wasn't like a dating site meetup either, it like, oh my God, how is, because there were certain things like we already knew. So it was like, oh, hey, what do you think about this? Oh, da-da-da-da,
Yeah.
And of course, half of the deal with the freaking long ass wait time at the one restaurant and doing all this other stuff, we got other time.
True.
True. And it was a little refreshing too, other things, because then people that like aren't around like the kids all the time, got to point out some other things, that not everybody else sees. Because some people,
like who?
Well, like when you get like set, like in the lifestyle that you have, and so everybody else around you is set in that lifestyle too.
Yeah.
and other people introducing something else and saying, hey, this is what's happening, this is different, da da da.
Yeah.
So things
Okay.
like that,
Okay. I
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
I guess. Maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Of course, uh, I just think it was funny that all the little sideshows that I record, like most of them, are like, oh, that is so stupid. I would never watch that. And then your daughter was like, but daddy, it's so good. We have to watch it. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, it's on like Donkey Kong now. If I need to ever be like, hey, you should watch this, I'll just be like, hey, tell your dad he needs to watch this. Okay.
I'm gonna tell your kid, your dad records too many shows.
Hey buddy.
Tell him to slow down.
It keeps me functional. Keeps me functional to do stuff.
I guess.
I
Who
always
knows?
got to work on a project. So, I'm working on other stuff right now that's not related to the podcast. And I'm
Uh-huh.
sitting there and I'm like, I should record a show for the podcast. And I'm like, no, I'm already like way, way far in the future. And I'm like, I don't have to record anything right now. And I'm like, oh no, I got the itch, like, oh, I need to watch something. I need to record it or whatever. And I'm like, no, no, no,
Like,
no,
you have
no.
so many things recorded. Like, I don't even have to record my bonus episodes.
Hey buddy, you better get on it.
Like, we haven't recorded like a Pokemon episode in like over a month.
Yeah. Well, so here's another weird thing though. I really want to see you put out like different stuff that's not like your usual stuff that you put out, because it's weird seeing like a change. Like my comic episodes are doing way better than some of the other miscellaneous TV show ones.
Uh-huh.
And it's really weird seeing that because I'm like, okay,
I mean, I just don't
you know,
I just don't like have the drive at the moment to do a a a podcast of one
yeah,
by myself. Like, I feel like my plate's kind of full with, our main podcast and then like the Pokemon podcast,
yeah,
like I'm okay with that. I don't need to, you know, record by myself at the moment. I don't know. It's just something, I don't know, it's just
yeah.
me,
Well,
you know.
and I think I don't know what to call it exactly. I feel like you could call it like money brain maybe, because I'm sitting there like, what if I get sick? Okay, well I have enough shows recorded, or whatever. So it's really weird sitting there thinking about it sometimes, because almost anytime I watch anything now, I have podcast brain going. What would I say about this? What parts do I like out of this? What would I focus on? And I think it's made
Uh,
me a better TV show watcher, a better movie watcher, a better reader,
it's
things like that, because of
uh
podcast brain. But then I feel like
it's
when I
it,
get out of it, then I'm not
uh
like, I don't enjoy things as much.
it's funny that you say that because like there was a point in when I was doing like YouTube, like, and like reading manga, I would I would kind of turn on that like YouTube side while I was like reading,
Yeah,
you know, even though I wasn't going to record that thing for a video.
right.
So it kind of had the same effects. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I just,
Well,
I'm kind of happy with
and
what I'm.
and the other thing is it's made me like hungry in a way. You get that?
Uh huh.
Because like I mean, it's not going to come out for a little while, but I recorded stuff for Star Wars Visions,
Uh-huh.
And it makes me get in the mindset like I have to know everything about all of it. And
Uh-huh.
so even though that was a little thing, like I go through it, I start clicking around. I'm like, okay, for Gravity Falls, there were shorts. Is there a movie? Is there something where you can talk about more of um like the director or the person's like
Yeah.
influences on it?
Yeah.
Um well, the good thing about Visions is each episode they go into the studio, they talk about it,
Uh-huh.
and what the person portrayed Star Wars in a Japanese culture style was like. So I'm like, okay, well, I've watched these episodes like 4 or 5 times already, but now I have to watch it through the person creating its eyes as kind of them having the director commentary about creating it.
I
You
mean,
know,
it's funny that you say that, like a Japanese like eyes are influenced, but like when you like really look at it, like Star Wars has always had a Japanese influence,
that's true.
you know.
That's true.
So
Which
yeah,
I didn't know this, and you'll see it in one of the shows. There's Trigger Studio. So there's two triggers. I didn't know that there were two triggers. I just
yeah,
knew Trigger.
uh huh,
And there's Trigger Inc., which does like
mm-hmm.
the Gurren Lagann stuff and things like that.
Yeah,
Well, then there's another side, Trigger Studio, and they're like
mm-hmm.
sister studios, and it's basically two guys. They started Trigger together, and then I guess they split the company in half.
Yeah.
And the guy that
I don't
does,
remember. I don't remember. I don't remember which two it was,
yeah, oh, I can't
to be
remember either.
exact.
But the guy that is over Trigger Studio did his own little episode, and he goes, if you watch this one, this is a potential that things could be. And I think he said it was like happy go lucky, fast paced, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And he said this other one, the historic part, the very kind of focusing on the music, all this other stuff. He brought in this is the other side of Trigger and everything. If
Mm-hmm.
you watch them together.
Yeah.
And through that or whatever, they actually brought up that he retired.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he no longer does it unless they're going to have him come back for Star Wars.
Okay.
He's not an animator anymore. But
Yeah.
looking at it, it really makes you think of too is like all the stuff that you could analyze.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. But like getting back to like the podcasting thing, um, like I don't know, I just feel content like doing those two things,
Yeah,
like the Pokemon and like our normal thing. Like eventually, I will get back to. I'll probably do Invincible, but I'll probably just stockpile it and like not release it for a while. I mean, it's been like months since I've released an Invincible podcast.
yeah,
I would like to get through Pokemon eventually, uh, or at least like the first story arc or main story arc
yeah,
for the first. I don't know, I just feel content. And there are times where I feel like I question if we're like overwhelming or overloading like the people who watch or not watch but listen to our stuff
yeah,
by all the little bonus episodes. And I kind of question if it's like because we don't really get a lot of feedback. We've only gotten a little feedback for the podcast.
right,
And I question whether or not like we're overloading them or bogging them down with these other podcasts and we're not like it's not like our the main podcast isn't our main focus. Maybe it seems like to them.
yeah.
Um, because I mean,
I don't
there's
know. I do see though putting out fillers
uh-huh,
um, of how a lot of our base is more so into comics and
uh-huh,
manga. Um, a, a little bit of shows here and there, but most of it just seems like comics and manga and things that are nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean, like, most definitely. Because I mean, at first, like, we did start out as quote a manga podcast,
Sort
you
of.
know, sort of, but mostly like manga content. And I was like, well, we're eventually gonna run out of manga someday,
Right.
But like we always say, we have all these other hobbies,
Right.
and so we kind of like slowly morphed into like just a nerd pop culture podcast,
So true.
you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, let's cover this, let's cover this. You're like, I've never fucking heard of this, but we'll do it,
Right.
whatever, which I still love like recording like the anime whenever I do anime or manga,
Yeah.
um episodes. But like I also love doing talking about these other things with you. And like I feel like when I do like a solo thing, it's just I have nobody to bounce off of.
Yeah.
you know.
No,
That's
and
why I
I
can't.
totally think it's a learning curve too.
Yeah, like I feel like, yeah, I don't know. It's odd because like we're kind of still in the to manga Grammy sphere,
Yeah.
a little bit. Like we have like one foot in there,
Yeah.
but like we have one foot out of there.
Well,
We
I don't even feel like it's a foot. It's more like a toe.
like a toe, like
Yeah.
we walk between worlds almost
Yeah. Yeah.
with the
Well, and
podcast.
I feel like it's a bunch of different pools of water. And
Yeah.
every toe is getting dipped in something else.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just me overthinking it, possibly, because I mean, like we said before, podcasting is a labor of love, and you have your ups and downs when podcasting. Uh, you know, I don't know. I just want to reach more people, or try to reach more people as I can.
Right.
To go on this journey with me. You
Well,
know.
and the other thing is, since I've been, I have that divinimation deck thingy that I've been doing, and I've been putting pictures out on Instagram of when I do a
Is
daily
that what
thing.
that is?
Yeah.
I just thought that was your like poorly bad like done drawings.
No. No, that's the little box set of stuff that comes from Quarter Press,
Oh, okay.
Um and that's what all those things are. And it's kind of like your daily reading of different things, or like asking a question of a situation, things like that.
Uh-huh.
And and so I've started putting that out too, and it's gotten me where I've wanted to put other stuff out,
Uh-huh.
after kind of breaking away from my ex and focusing on things that her and I did, like Pokemon Go and whatnot. That the
Yeah.
only reason why I was even doing those was because of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind
Like,
of
go ahead.
it's kind of given me the bearing of other stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
getting revitalized, wanting to record more and um do advertisements and stuff, like for the longest time there, my sub count or whatever on there was only like 340, and it might go up
Uh-huh.
5, but then it dropped back 5, stuff like that. It was always really
Uh-huh.
weird. And so now it's like at 360 or whatever at this point, and it's kind of like got my brain working of, okay, well, what do I put out, and then what do I advertise and throw out for the podcast? Because an extra sub or whatever, or a follower, is now another person I can have that I put stuff out to and say, hey, go
Yeah.
look at these shows.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, true,
of course, one of my little side hobbies that I like to do, and I don't do it all the time, but if you type in Otakuology, when you see, and this is kind of going into the sideshow thing, like you said, when you see all the little
Uh-huh.
sideshows that we have, and now it's kind of like having a bunch of like candy bowls. Now we've gotten to the point that you look up Gravity Falls and Otakuology pops up. You do other stuff and Otakuology pops up. And it's kind of weird to think about how, like when I finish Gravity Falls, that I'll probably never talk about it again. But the thing is now we have our hand basically in that candy bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get you.
Because, I mean, like, here's the weird thing. I had some random person bring up The Boys, which I've never seen that. They brought up The Boys, and then it kind of segued into Invincible. And it's really funny having the shows we've done on the podcast, because I was like, oh, I said, well, if you like that, I said, my co-host actually has an Invincible podcast that he does through our stuff. That's a sideshow. And they were like, oh my gosh. So then I don't know if our numbers reflect this person listening or anything at all, but they said that they would go check out the podcast because of that. So it lets me know that it gives us more options of conversation starters as well. Because I had somebody go, oh, nobody ever listens to Hilda or whatever. Or like, even though that troll that you had talking about Centaur's World, like, there's so many people that are like, well, what's that? And you go, well, here's a podcast, listen to this.
Yeah. I mean, somebody asked me today why we don't do a video podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to have to play for the camera,
Right.
I feel like whenever I turn on...
Let's just be honest. You don't have to see us to know that we have sexy faces behind these sexy voices. Okay?
I mean, I feel like, we've kind of done that. We did the whole podcast live stream, and just, I personally feel like it didn't work for me.
Right.
To be honest, like I have no problem doing live streams like occasionally, but like, I don't know. It's not really for me,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is like with the podcast is like it has created this weird little hunger. And now that I don't have a relationship to put my time into, the traveling thing has popped up in my head. Getting back to the gym because, I kind of quit that and doing some other stuff and all this other stuff. And it just clicks in my head. And it's like, but it's still all fueled by like the podcast brain. So it's like, well, how do I tell people this? How do I inspire people? How do I do all this other stuff? And so it just starts clicking away at me,
Yeah.
So, and then of course at some point, if anybody asks, then you relate it all back, or you leave a link that's floating out there and say, hey, this is my podcast.
True.
And have people go to it from there.
Yeah, it's just it's okay. I don't know. I kind of like can't wrap my mind around like, oh, here's my podcast. I don't know. Yeah. It's just I'm always like a little apprehensive. Like, hey, here's my podcast. Go listen to it.
Yeah. Well, you got the cards now too, so.
Yeah.
Which I was like, and it's a lot. That's another thing too that I think us meeting in person, going back to our actual subject.
Oh yeah, true.
That I saw whenever we did go to Barnes and Noble too. You and I both have totally different approaches to life on different things. While I would have walked around and scanned everything to see every new book that they had, what they put out, things like that or whatever, and not really tried to talk to anybody, then, you got in the conversation with that one guy and it kind of went from there. So, it shows me like how different, as a co-host that we are, but at the same time we both work for the same means and do all this different stuff that works for the podcast, you know.
True. I should have been, hey, I have a podcast. But I didn't.
Right. You should have.
He was telling me about Sword Art Online and how apparently the creator went back and
Oh, is that why you asked me about that?
Did I?
I think you were like, how many like stories are there? Because you know it's Sword Art Online, and then there's a secondary name, you know.
Yeah. Well, apparently the creator went back and wrote the chunk from the original that was left out. So when they go through all the levels, like there's a whole story, there's a whole series about just doing that.
That's funny.
Apparently now. Yeah. And I got into this whole conversation with this dude. He's an older dude. He had a magician cat shirt on, which is kind of cool, or wizard, or whatever you want to call it.
And well, it was weird because of how old he was. Like,
yeah,
because I was sitting there like, does he really
he was
read
like,
manga?
He was like an old school like manga collector.
Yeah.
Because he started talking about like Battle Angel and how he couldn't find Battle Angel anymore because they printed it or printed something else. I don't remember what exactly. And he brought up Gunsmith Cats and stuff like that. And like, oh yeah, so this guy's he complained about not finding it in the store anymore. And I'm like, well, there's always online.
Right.
I don't know if he knew about that, but
right,
you know, shopping online.
Right stuff. We need an advertisement because you were shouting.
He might have just been a like in-store only kind of person.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, he was interesting to talk to. Even though I'm not like the hugest like Sword Art Online fan, I just started talking to him about it.
Right.
Because he was like perusing the books.
Right. Well, you know, and that's the other funny thing that kind of came out of that as well is, you know, like past stuff that we've had to deal with, you know, it kind of showed me in a way that it doesn't affect you as much anymore, you know.
What do you mean?
You know, because like for me, like, and you can go listen to our cyberbullying episode for this if y'all need to, for some context. But you know, like that's kind of all that stuff is like a reason why I don't try and go out of my way to talk to people anymore. You know, and so that was another thing that, you know, it's baggage that I kind of saw that I'm still kind of carrying, but that, you know, you might be carrying it a different way, but you're not carrying it in terms of talking to somebody, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was trying to make conversation so you get off the shitter. You know, you were in the bathroom or restroom.
I was only in there for like 2 minutes. No, I was peeing.
You were on the shitter. You know?
Bullshit! I wouldn't take a shit.
Yeah. But yeah,
Mister.
I don't know. I never
shit before I eat.
I never thought about that that aspect. I just kind of just started talking to him.
Yeah.
Because he was just right next to me.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of wanted to ask him where he got that shirt.
Is it local around here anywhere? I'd like that shirt, please.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, can I get that shirt?
I mean, but I never thought of that like you like not talking to people.
Yeah.
Or not wanting to talk to people, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And that never dawned on me.
See, look, the more you know.
Because you like didn't shut up the whole time we were there.
Whatever, bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
which is surprising. I only bought one manga my entire trip there.
Right. Well, you went home with 2 mangas, so
that's true. That's true. That's definitely true.
Stay tuned, because one of the ones that Mike went home with will be done on the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll cover it.
Eventually, we'll cover Lupin the Third.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, greatest heist Lupin the Third, or whatever.
Which now I'll have to find mine because I think I moved it. Poor K.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't know if
you got any other questions?
I mean, I don't know. Do you have any fucking questions?
Tons.
Good.
We
I mean,
we
just
go another
shoot
4
them
hours.
off.
We go another 4 hours.
I don't know about that.
So, what was your favorite place that you don't have where you live at that we went to?
I did like U.S. pizza quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie, I did. I mean, I guess I could say Black Bear, but we have a couple Black Bears in Texas apparently.
Right.
Just I have to drive over an hour to get to it.
Right. Well, it is so funny that you were like, we have these?
Because I've never seen them. I've never seen them in Texas.
Yeah.
Because I remember we got to the restaurant, and the restaurant, the menu's a newspaper. I just see like all these towns listed in like the years, and I turned to you and I was like, "Is this like confirmed like bear sightings or like bear attacks?"
Right.
And you were like, "No, it's their locations."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well, we have 2 in Texas."
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, all that was funny in itself. Because I was like, oh, man. And what all we had and different things like that, because that used to be one of my favorite places. I went all the time.
I do have to say, though, the burrito challenge was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot like a place we have here called Freebirds. You have the Big Kahuna up there, whatever it's called there. Blue Coast burritos or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Blue Coast
Big Kahuna was the burrito. So the Big Kahuna is like the equivalent to, I think, like the Freebird Monster, which is like the second biggest burrito.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, this is easy, And I'm like, I thought it was gonna be bigger. And like I was a little disappointed that there wasn't a time limit.
Yeah.
In like finishing it, because I kind of wanted to like the competition or whatever to finish it, the like, oh, you gotta finish this, like a regular food challenge,
Yeah.
So when you come down here, we gotta get the super monster.
You want to be tested?
Yeah, I wanted to be tested, And then we got our t-shirts, and they weren't even the fucking size I needed.
That's true. That's true.
I was disappointed with that.
They're never the size.
And like we went down 8, and then like we got up. Like, for all they know, I could have just like took a bite of the burrito and just threw it away, and I'd be like, oh, I finished it.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I mean, I was gonna finish it regardless, but they're not very strict on their food challenge rules.
That's true.
It's just
we should
finish it before you leave.
We should have went down to Buffalo Wild Wings and did the Blazing Wings challenge.
We can do that here because we have one of those.
Yeah, but we have one of those. We'll have to come back and do it here though, so it's in my town.
Okay, it's fine. Or we could do it here. Actually, I've never heard of that challenge.
The Blazing Challenge?
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing there.
Yeah.
Do you get your picture on a wall?
Yeah. You get your picture on a wall, and I think if you finish it before the time limit, your meal is free. And they give you like a free drink at the end or whatever too.
Oh, no shirt? No T-shirt.
You may get a shirt. I don't think so.
Okay.
But you might.
'Cause I can't remember. I think we have another place that does something similar to that.
So can I point this out that I thought was really funny?
What?
For
as you hit the table?
As much, yeah. Jason. For as much as you and I talk about food, I was like, at one point I was like, am I a fat ass? Because I was sitting there and I'd look over and like, you know, we'd both be getting done with like our main things at the same point or whatever, and I'd be like, I'm still hungry, like I'm gonna finish these chips or something like that. Or like whenever we went to do the burrito thing, like I ate all my chips too, and then we went and I was like, okay, well I don't need a big thing, but I want a little thing of ice cream. And you're like, I don't need anything. And I was sitting there like, am I fat?
I was still recovering from the burrito.
I was sitting there, and then like the next day, you were like, "I want the big burger, but the big Bob's Burgers at Black Bear." But you're like, "I don't think I can eat it all." And I was sitting there like, "I'm fucking hungry. I'll eat it all."
I was still recovering because I hadn't pooped for like 2 days.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, so, I was completely like devour everything in sight. I was so hungry.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there like, I gotta be fat. I was like, you're not finishing all your stuff. I'm finishing all my stuff.
Well, I mean, I hate to break it to you.
And then I wanted to,
then I felt like we're fat.
Then I felt like I was the guy that's like, you know, you finish a meal and we go somewhere else and like I'm snacking and or some kind of shit like that. And I was like, damn it.
I mean, I hate to break it to you, but we're fat. We're fat. We're PHAT.
That's true, but it makes me feel like I'm fatter than you.
not gonna lie. Like I'm trying
to be the next Kobayashi, okay?
When we got to like the U.S. pizza and you just started ordering all this shit, and I'm like, is this all for him? Is this all for Jen? You know? And then you're like, oh, it's communal, and I'm like, I'm not fucking sharing my pizza with anybody. This is my fucking pizza. I'll fucking bite your hand off. Don't touch my pizza.
Right. Well, I had that after y'all left for a couple days, so I was like, oh boy.
I mean, it was only like a couple pieces.
Exactly. It was, but you know, and then spread in the U.S. pizza nachos one tummy at a time. Because after y'all had it, the four of y'all had it, y'all were probably like the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th like people that I told to try it like that have been like, oh my god, this is revolutionary.
Gotcha.
I mean, you know, it's almost down to a science. I mean, because we've been ordering it that way forever.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
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 Are you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, wrap it up.
I feel like we were kind of all over the place.
We probably were
in this episode.
We probably were.
Know.
We
no manga tubers were hurt in the making of this episode. I hope they weren't.
I was trying to think if you or I got. Well, I mean, technically, you were hurt.
I was.
Yeah, you were hurt right before.
With what?
Remember, you walked back in, and I guess you hit the table with your knee or whatever, and you're like, "Oh God."
Oh yeah.
One manga tuber was hurt during the recording of this. But no animals were hurt, so that's good.
No centaurs were hurt in the making of this podcast.
Definitely. But there was some grass that also has died a little more on the inside, at least.
That is true. Yeah.
So, but yeah.
True.
So if anybody listen to this, let us know. You know, if you're a podcaster, a streamer, whatever. Have you ever met anybody that you've talked to online? Was it just a fleeting moment? Have they become like your best friends in life? Things like that. You know, let us know, and maybe we'll go into some other things on the podcast. Maybe you guys will feel us to meet each other in person again sooner. Um, who the fuck knows?
And remember to like, share, and subscribe, and go and review us 5 stars. It helps on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. If you're a fan of the podcast, let us know. Let us know how we can improve our podcast. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about on the podcast. And tell your friends, because that's the best way to help our podcasts, besides listening to our podcasts.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I mean, this podcast wasn't necessarily our normal podcast, I guess, or normal podcast format, but
That's true.
we had
'Cause,
fun.
you know, we also never got to do that random recording of us just sitting there talking when you were up here.
I wasn't going to do that.
Like hell, you wouldn't even known it was happening.
I was on fucking vacation. Okay?
I would have just hit record and put my phone down. You would have fucking never known it was happening.
Oh, so you're gonna secretly record my conversation?
You wouldn't have cared about it.
No, probably not.
Exactly. See,
Yeah.
Depending
Depending on what I said, maybe I might care. I don't know. But usually I don't.
Hey, as long as it wasn't something written down, which at least we're not a visual podcast, we're a verbal podcast. Because when we played that one game, that some of that shit was fucked up. Okay. And the worst part is the two that I feel okay with saying on the podcast were freaking Hello Kitty and Bambi's mom getting shot. Those are the only two. Everything else is worse than that, okay?
Not what was it? Was it eating a seagull?
Oh my gosh.
Was it? And when it turned
There's
into
a lady eating a seagull with the seagull in her mouth.
And then it turned into it turned into getting a blowjob or blowing a seagull.
No, it turned into the seagull squirting and people trying to catch it with their mouths.
I
don't even know what to say. So
yeah, I don't know. You gotta play that game with your brothers.
Oh, I know. We've talked about it. I said we need an even number of people to go around, and then the worst part is I said, you think we can get 20 people together? I said we'll need 20 note cards.
We've done about like 8 people, I think it was.
Yeah,
like 8 or 9 people.
I don't know. I mean, if I had like a big party, I would get a bunch of people to play it all at once because I think it'd be funny as shit.
It's a fun game,
Hey, maybe we could play it in letter form, and we'll just send the letters to people.
Oh,
be like, hey, so who to me in the virtual table is sitting next to me? Oh, it's Mike. Okay, so I send all my stuff to Mike when I get it. And then it makes a full circle going around to everybody. And when it comes back to you.
Do you remember, did you ever do Flat Stanley?
Yeah.
As a kid?
Yeah.
We should do that, but in like like manga tube or manga gram or whatever.
That'd be funny.
We'll just do flats, just one flat Stanley since goes around.
Let me think. Flat Deku.
Flat Deku.
Flat Deku. That's what it's going to be.
It reminds me of that King of the Hill episode when Peggy gets the flat Stanley. And they take it to places and like they shoot it up with a gun and
I don't know
burn
if I
it.
know this. I don't know if I know this one.
Yeah, it's a funny episode. And then the kid gets it back and it's like half a flat Stanley and it's pictures of him, being tortured or whatever, I think because she wants the kid to learn like what the real world is like.
Oh my god, the hell!
And the kid is just like mortified.
I have no idea. I don't think I've ever seen this episode.
It's a pretty funny episode.
There we go. Hey, I mean, we could always send around a flat Peggy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening to our show. I know we rambled a little more, even after we told you guys goodbye already. But
yeah,
stay tuned for next time. And as always, we'll see you next Tuesday.